Hi, thank you all for coming. Today I'm going to talk to you about the World Wildlife Fund and why I think you should make a donation of either your time or your resources towards the World Wildlife Fund. So what does the World Wildlife Fund do? The World Wildlife Fund is a global leader, in fact it is the global leader of the world in conservation, as well as the protection and treatment of endangered and threatened animals. So what does this mean though on a global scale? This means that the WWF is in over 100 countries protecting species that you wouldn't think of. So I'm going to play you guys a short video here that just kind of gives a nice little synopsis of what they're about. So I'll let you guys watch this. Alright, so that was the video, and basically what it's saying with that video is we co-inhabit this plant with multiple species, some of which we don't even know yet. We're going to continue to discover as we continue to explore and resource mine this planet, essentially. But what can we do to help the endangered and threatened animals we currently have? Well, we can do this big thing called conservation, which is what the World Wildlife Fund is all about. So we can conserve things such as the plants, zebras, gazelles, rhinos. Animals graze on that resource. We gotta protect stuff like that. We gotta keep wetlands and farmlands safe for them to graze on. We can't have a bunch of pesticides on it killing off all the animals. We can't have overhunting and sport hunting for cheap and knockoff kind of gimmicky products that have no medical benefit. Water conservation. The World Wildlife Fund helps people. They don't just help animals. They are helping build sustainable water and food practices in Africa and other places in need to help benefit the ecosystem. Because if people aren't having to go and invade into other ecosystems, resource management will be better spread, more evenly distributed. So, a fact from the WWF CEO when he was talking to Bloomberg in a Green Fest initiative, which was just a group of CEOs and other like-minded environmental types trying to get together and propose solutions for a greener planet. He was said in a very, it's a fact that kind of stuck with me, that 10 to 20 soccer fields a minute just in the tropic rainforests of South America being cut down every minute. Think of how much land that is, how much habitats, all the animals that live there. It's insane. We are cutting away from the most biodiverse region in the world. And I learned that in my science class from Stark State, so I don't know if I can credit that in my presentations, but I didn't. I also want to credit the Protect Life video from the World Wildlife Fund, and a lot of these facts that I'm spewing are from the World Wildlife website as I perused through it and did about 5 hours worth of research on it throughout this week, and then I did about 5.5 hours last week as well. So the next thing I'm going to show you is kind of an interesting thing here. These are a few endangered animals, or threatened animals, if you will. This is the red-tailed panda. and it has been known to be in mainly Asia and parts of like very Eastern Europe. And if you see it, it kind of resembles a raccoon and doesn't behave like a panda, so the name's kind of a misnomer. And it's funny, the only reason I picked it is it kind of looks like my little dog. And then the koala, everybody knows, cute and cuddly, but they're kind of weird, and if you watch them fight on YouTube, it's kind of entertaining. They kind of they're territorial, which is very odd. Usually you don't think it cute and cuddly. The jaguar, these used to be predominantly in the Southwest and Central America, and their population numbers have significantly dwindled over the years. People are hunting them for rugs and stuff like that. And what the World Wildlife Foundation does is it moves animals like these, and the orangutan is one as well that's been extremely hunted as people just moved into Africa. What the World Wildlife Foundation does with animals like these is they try to get them into reserves with capable individuals who can take care of them in a proper manner. Because in a lot of cases, I'm going to show you, I believe it's in this next slide. Yep, there he is. We all remember he took over 2020 on Netflix, Mr. Joe Exotic. So Joe here opened a tiger farm in Oklahoma and had about 50 exotic tigers and endangered, threatened. He was letting general public people interact with them, pet them, and that is extremely dangerous. We're meant to cohabit this world, absolutely. But we're not supposed to take a dangerous animal like that that's not supposed to be domesticated and just expect it to behave like a common house cat. It's extremely dangerous, and in the show itself, you saw one of his trainers lose an arm because of that. And it's just a general, he wasn't a professional, he didn't have the proper training. You can have a love for these creatures, absolutely. He should have donated his time and resources, not tried to raise 50 of them on his own. Not, if you wanted to, donate with help, have hire trained professionals, stuff like that. The World Wildlife Fund could have provided resources. The picture in the middle here, and the reason I kind of use this for the presentation as well, is it's very common in show business to see these very small trained little monkeys that perform these cute little tricks in circuses and all across the world. But the sad reality is you don't know when the monkey is going to potentially turn. It's not made to be a pet. It's a natural animal that deserves to be in its habitat in the wild. There's a slide I'm going to show that is graphic that will kind of just put it into perspective of why we shouldn't be forcing an animal into an uncomfortable situation. We need to set up places like these reserves that the World Wildlife Fund sets up to make sure that these animals are adequately cared for and taken care of and given the proper medical treatment and given the proper resources to survive and replenish their numbers. There was a point in the United States where buffalo roamed across the plains in thousands. They're extremely threatened now. And the last picture here is a rhino horn, which people will poach in Africa off of the reserves. They will sell a kilogram of this for about $60,000 USD. And all it is supposed to be is a hangover cure, and it's used in witchcraft. So it's kind of disgusting. And the World Wildlife Fund tries to stop that kind of action. So this is the graphic one, please be warned. So this is kind of the result of forcing nature into uncomfortable situations. This woman had a monkey as a pet, and the monkey had an incident and ripped her face off. It's very graphic and it's unfortunate because she probably loved the monkey. But you can't force these animals into an uncomfortable situation like that, and the World Wildlife Fund is trying to prevent that. These are some of my references. And some of the stuff about owning exotic animals I got from PETA. So with that, I want to thank you all for coming. You've been a great audience for these free speeches, and we're good.